good to have you all with us today. We're going to talk about engaging content because content that doesn't engage is pretty much worthless, right? When I first started, and I've been speaking professionally for probably close to 40 years. Yes, probably 40 years. And I know, I look very young for having spoken for 40 years. But when I started speaking professionally, the biggest concern I had was that I might not engage my audience. So very early in my career, the first thing that I started doing was that I would give someone a little sign, and that little sign would say 2 words. I'd put 2 words on that sign that would make a difference. Those 2 words were, so what? So what? And I would ask that person, if I ever say anything, and you don't think it's connected to anything, that it has no purpose, it has no value, just hold up that sign that says, so what? And it'll remind me of how important engaging content is. So for years, I had my so what section every time I spoke. And I would give somebody permission to hold up a sign that said, so what? And it helped me to understand that content that doesn't connect with people, that you can't see an immediate connection, isn't going to be beneficial to you. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be a story or there won't be something that will make it, that will kind of spread that out just a little bit, that has a path to get there. But it always has a purpose. Make sure your content is engaging. Now, in the process of creating engaging content, realize that not everybody learns in exactly the same way. Not everybody's going to engage with your content if all it is audio content, or if all it is written content. Sometimes it has to be a visual like this. We talked yesterday about how many live feeds that I had done and how many places that I'd done live feeds in and how many videos I had created. And that's a visual kind of thing. It gives people the ability to be able to see you, and they can see your expressions. They can see your face. They can see your passion. They can see the things that you bring to the table, because that's where engagement takes place at. And when you do that, when you engage with your audience, then as Joanna says, that's when movement begins to take place. That's when movement starts to happen. That's when people will support what you're doing. They'll follow what you're doing. I love this statement. This is one of my favorite books. I have a really fascinating story about this book, and I'm not going to tell you that story today. I'll save that for another time. But this book is called Getting Your Way by Jeffrey Gitomer. I love these books. He's got a whole bunch of these, and this is in his little book series. And this book is on getting your way. It's about persuasion, and it shows the value of persuasion. And he says, and I've adopted this, and I think it's very valuable. He says that if people aren't interested in what you're saying, it's because you're not interesting. We're too polite to say, you're just not interesting. So instead, what they say is I'm just not interested. And the reason is because you're not interesting. You're not engaging with them. There has to be an engagement that takes place. And if you don't have engaging content, you don't have anything. Because people can watch, they'll sit and they'll listen, and they'll think about last night's football game. And they'll think about other stuff. Other things will be on their mind. They will have things that get in their way and prevent them from being able to pay careful attention. And so you want to be as engaging as possible with your content, okay? Now, I'm going to give you something, but I realized this morning I don't like the format that I have it in. So I'm going to post a link just as soon as I get off the air today. I'm going to post a link, and what I'm going to put in that link is I'm going to give you, are you ready for this one? I'm going to give you 52 different ways that you can deliver your content. 52 different ways. How many of you would have thought that there were 52 different ways? How many of you would have thought that there were 52 different ways to deliver your content? You might have been able to come up with 3 or 4 or maybe 5, but how about 52? 52 ways. Let me grab something. I have it right here, so I'm back. This book, Guerrilla Marketing by the great Jay Levinson, has said that there are 52 different ways to deliver content. I've taken his 52 ways and I'm putting it into a PDF file. And I had it in an old style file and I didn't like it, and I'm not going to give it to you that way. So I'm going to put it in a little neater, cleaner PDF file, and I will deliver that. You'll have the PDF file tonight, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a sign-up form at the end of this video. I'll put a sign-up form at the end of the video so that you can get those 52 different ways. And I promise you that if you start thinking not about one way to do it, but you start thinking about multiple ways that you can take that same content, repurpose it, turn it into something else that has greater value, or that maybe would be more engaging. Maybe you take a video presentation like this and you turn it into a checklist, or you turn it into a PDF file that has 52 different ways to engage with content. Those are the kinds of things that make a big difference. So when I finish this, don't forget, I'll put a sign-up form down below. You go in and sign up for that, and then tonight I'll have that PDF file finished. I'm going to go over to, while we're talking about content, I'm going to go over to a client's office today, and we're going to videotape a brief interview at that client's office. Now, that is a way to deliver content, correct? The issue with that is that we've got to be very, very careful what's in that interview. We've got to be very careful what's said in that interview, because that particular industry has to go through a compliance process. They have to go through a compliance process to get approval for any video. So we're going to videotape the interview, and then we're going to edit it. We're going to make it so that it's usable and it's workable. We'll turn that into an FAQ style thing. That'll be a PDF that we'll give away. And then we'll take the video and we'll use the video. We'll use the video on Facebook. We'll use the video on a Facebook fan page. We'll have some things that we can do with that video once compliance has approved that. So those are multiple ways that you can take the same content and use it in a variety of ways. So I'm going to give you 52 ways that you can create and deliver your content to the world. And I bet you didn't think there were 52 ways. So let's do just a little bit of engagement here. How many of you would have thought that there would be 52 ways to deliver your content? Answer that question for me in the chat box, and we're going to look, and I'm going to scroll through these as quickly as we possibly can. So what did you think? What did you think? How long did you think? How many things did you think that were ways to deliver the content? I had no idea it was 52. I could come up with 21, but I could not come up with 52. And when I saw that list, I went, that is amazing. But then I remembered the source. And Jay was an amazing guy. He has some amazing ideas about how to get your message out to the world. So your takeaway today are two things. Vicky's saying no way. Cass says no. Joanna said no. There's no, I would have never, ever guessed that. So there's two things I want you to take away from today's lesson. Number one is just, even if you only do it, just do it with I wish I had a little holograph that would pop up and go, so what? So what? And remember that so what section. Make sure that your content engages, that it answers questions, that it addresses issues, that it does those things so that you don't have somebody jump up and go, so what? Because that will help you create engaging content. That's the first thing. The second thing is, don't forget to sign up for and get those 52 different ways to deliver your content to the world. Because when you take your message, that's your impact, that's your contribution to the world from yesterday's comment, right? That's your contribution to the world. So when you take that content and you deliver it, then some people are going to say, yes, that's what I was looking for. And some people are going to go, well, if I just had that on an MP3 so I could play it in my car. Or somebody else might say, if I had a checklist, I could check those things off as we go, then that would be helpful to me. But we've got to find as many ways as we can to make that impact into the world. Okay? We got to find as many ways as we can to make that impact into the world. And our delivery method, whatever that happens to be, whatever our delivery method is, there are multiple ways. You're just on the tip of the iceberg. You may think that that's it, but that's not. You're not even close. If you couldn't come up with 52, then you haven't explored everything that's possible. Okay? Tom says, reuse, reuse, reuse. You're exactly right. Yeah, yeah, Ted, I thought that was kind of interesting. It was 52 instead of 101. Yeah. But valuable stuff. Very important to understand how much it means to you to be able to take that and deliver your impact to the world in a way that causes them to grab a hold of it, causes them to get it, causes them to jump in and say, I've got to have more of that. That's where you make your difference. Okay? I've got to run to my client's office so I can go create some content for him. Love you. Thank you for joining me.